You are now entering the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. We in the building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Found out I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became.
Them trees is way better.
Oh snap! Yeah, like no service.
No, it don't be no service over there.
Good morning, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. I am your host, Divine Moon Goddess, and my special guest and co-host this morning is Kadija. I
Hey
always,
y'all.
I always end up fucking up your page name.
And the funny part is, we always doing something. So I'm actually rebranding.
Okay.
Um, so that's in the slow making, but I'm
Right.
rebranding so that I feel more true to what I'm the name that I'm following and that I stand behind. I think when I started, I just kind of jumped to something like I need something, but then the other day a
Right.
name came to me and I was like, okay, I like this. So
Right, right, right. I think that's how it happens. It's just one of those things where we're like, well, that's just kind of not me, you know.
yeah,
A lot of my pages when I first started were Divine Moon Goddess Tarot. And I was just like, I'm so much more than tarot. So that just had to go. Like that tarot part had to go.
exactly.
Good morning, you guys. Good morning, you guys. We actually have an interesting show for you guys today, but let me let you know this morning show is brought to you by Divine Moon Goddess Healers and Readings.com, where your questions get answered, which we are in the rebranding phase of that one as well. Um, I talk about it a lot where I'm actually going to a nonprofit organization and going to be changing the name because I want to do more help in community wise, like getting out in the pavement and kind of helping. So that's going to be changing too. So I get it. Rebranding comes a time where it's just, it is what it is, right?
Okay.
So
I don't
you
know why
guys,
my volume is so low.
oh, that you can't hear.
Yeah, I feel like I'm struggling, but I
you
can
have,
hear you though.
do you have a headpiece?
No, not at work.
Oh, okay.
I wish I did. I need to gift that to myself for Christmas.
Right, right. You know, I have these earplugs that I got, and I still don't use them. It's still in a box. It's been in the box like I don't know how long because I forget. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So this morning, you guys, we are talking about suicide awareness. So I want you guys to be careful in the comments because you know when you say things like suicide, Facebook will flag you and block you. Okay. We could say it, but when you type it, it's a whole different thing. Okay. So just be mindful in the comments. But we're going to have a discussion. I have a really different take on suicide, and
Mhm.
a lot of people. I think we just have to get to a place where we look at it a little bit differently. And of course, Khadijah has her take on suicide as well. And so one of the points I want to start off with is that, you know, most people contemplating suicide, it's a hidden thing. It's something in the shadows. It's something that somebody is struggling with. There's a lot of it is there's no real warning for everyone else. You know, most people that are struggling with that type of whether it's depression or just tired of life, you know, it is in the shadows. It is very kind of closet. So
Mhm.
most of the time when we hear about it, it's already there's been a few attempts that we don't know about, right? um and so we got on this. What brought up this subject is not only have I, you know, lost a few people to suicide in my life, and I've seen people, especially like high ups my past job. But recently, Khadijah's daughter went through where one of her classmates had took her life. And it's something that we can't wrap our head around. One, right? Because we're like this child, right, that's taken their life. We kind of forget the soul. We look at the age, I think, and we see the age here and we kind of forget what the soul has been through. And we don't
Mm-hmm.
really know the damage of the soul and the turmoil that people are carrying on in the soul, in the whys. So it's hard to wrap our head around of like why, because you just want to tell this child like it'll get better. But my out thing is always, what if it won't? What if that's as good as it gets? What if this person just continues to struggle? Then what? Like, when do we as a society change how we see suicide? You know, I'm gonna let Khadijah say a little bit before I get too
Get
much
deep
into my
before you get deep. And, and I will say after the conversation with AG, like I personally dealt with, I had a full suicide attempt where literally I wasn't supposed to be here. Um, and like she said, you usually don't tell no, like when somebody's serious, they ain't about to be posting and telling nobody. Cause I even asked my daughter, like, did she talk about it? She was like, no. Like
right,
when people are seriously mentally there, they're not gonna talk about it. They're just gonna be about it. And
right,
it's hard because I definitely can relate with the baby to the point where it was like, dang, even though to everybody else, my situation wasn't as bad as they think it was, but to me, it was a lot. And to me, it felt better to just not have to deal with any of it. So
okay,
I do think that, maybe people getting a different view on it will definitely help people be able to deal with it better. Because I've even had someone tell me before, like, if you take your own life, that's selfish. And I kind of, when she said it, not knowing that I am someone that experienced that, it kind of hit me like I didn't know how to feel because I'm like, well, I'm not selfish. She was like,
right,
but what about the people that's left here? Like, unfortunately, we're responsible for our own, not even unfortunately, we're really just responsible for our own life.
right,
And like after the conversation with AG, I'm not gonna even lie, it really changed my perspective on it too, because I did feel like, like, dang, am I being selfish for having those feelings? But I'm not responsible for your feelings. I'm really only responsible for mine. And some people just get to that point. And I think that as people, we tend to let everybody else's issues bring us down so much when really, like, that was their choice. And it's like in life, we have choices. And unfortunately, sometimes it comes to that. Do I still have suicidal thoughts? No, like I've been able to, I don't know how. It's really hard to articulate how I'm able to overcome that. Am I down sometime? Yes. Like y'all see my crazy self is inconsistent. So yes, I still battle mentally, but I
right,
haven't been
right,
to that point where I've come to a point of loving life and loving this journey so much where that's non-negotiable for me now. Obviously, and I'm pretty sure if I was to try it again, that'd probably be my last try because Spirit done gave me a chance. Like I was gone, I was out of here, I was brain dead. So I just think that sometimes we just have to understand, like we all have the freedom of choice, and we have to be willing to come back. I leave.
we
I'm
see
about to
you.
put my phone on airplane mode.
You mean don't disturb? Don't put it on airplane mode.
Mhm.
Do not disturb.
Oh, there I go. I don't know if they can hear me yet.
We can hear you. Can you hear us though?
My bad.
We hear you. I don't. Well, not now because you're on mute. Can
It's
you
gonna
hear
come back
us?
in a second.
While she's doing that, one of the things of my point is that that term, when someone takes their life, and we call them selfish, and we are angry, and we are mad at them, and we're mad. How could you
Mm.
do that, right? Mhm.
Now I need two phones. Hopefully they come back.
Can you hear
Let me give it
us?
a second. How you be?
Can you hear us, Khadijah?
Good.
Nope. um we say that, right? We get very mad at someone. I know she'll pop back in. Get very mad, but we're the selfish ones. And I want you guys to just think about this for a second, right? So we're mad at someone because they couldn't take life. We are mad at them because they want to check out. We're mad at them because they can't cope with this
Do not
life, right?
disturb.
Can you hear us now?
Yes. I
Okay.
put my phone on do not disturb for a second.
When I was touching on when you say, like, when people said you're selfish for wanting to end your life. And
Exactly.
my person, when I've thought about this, because I was 14 and attempted suicide silently. Nobody knew. Even, after the fact, no one knew. One of the things that I would tell you is that it is more selfish for us to try to make someone like this life. We're trying to force someone to be happy with sometimes something that they can't. And you'll never comprehend it, you'll never understand it. But we have the nerve to say, "Oh, you're selfish because of that thing." What about the people you're leaving? What about the person who's suffering? Let me tell you,
Literally.
when somebody is committing suicide or attempting to commit suicide, they are suffering inside. Because now, I'm not talking about the drama queen and kings that are always posting, "I'm about to take my life," and that type of shit, because that's a whole nother thing that we could talk about. But when someone is actually attempting it, they do it alone. And because there's no assistance, like, we don't have assisted suicide, that's not a thing, everyone looks down on it, they go to the extremes. I think there would be less people cutting their wrist, there will be less people jumping out of fucking, 10-story buildings and shit, there would be less people standing in front of trains. We gotta look at how harsh and cruel suicide is if you think about the people who actually are taking their lives, right? It's not all a bunch of everyone takes pills, goes to sleep, and never wakes up. Some people go to very extremes to leave this earth. And one of my biggest points in suicide is we will put down a horse, we will put down a dog, we will put down an animal so that they don't suffer in this life. But then we will force one of our human beings or mankind to live in this world that they don't want to be in. I don't understand that part. That's one of the parts that confuses me about why we're forcing people or making people feel bad when they can't deal with this life. Because we know, like, Khadijah has her story and I have mine, that I wouldn't be here today should I have gone further. I even have a mark on my wrist that is very close to my vein, from when I started to cut my wrist at 14. I wouldn't be here, right? And spirit intervened. I had this purpose. And then that was that. Um, and I never tried it again. But I would tell you, I know two people that are very close to me that attempted suicide, but on the second attempt, it was an attempt. They actually succeeded. Um, I've seen a director of a medical company, like, take her life, and it has everything. You're looking outside, looking in, you're like, this lady has everything. Why would she take her life? But inside, somebody is suffering. And I think we have to change the way we see things to understand that somebody is suffering inside. And that goes beyond what we think their life should be. We assume somebody should be this, somebody should be that. We assume, oh, your life is not that bad. But again, you don't know what the soul is doing inside. You don't know what the soul has been through. So, when I'm looking at suicide, I just feel like I wish, as a society, that we could look at it differently, instead of downgrading someone who doesn't want to be here anymore. You know, we make somebody feel like shit because they can't take this life. Why? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it really, because when that girl said that to me, it really hurt my feelings. It really had
Right.
me reevaluate myself. Like, am I selfish? Is I guess that's selfish. Because people always tell you like, oh, you shouldn't commit suicide because you're hurting the people that's here.
Right.
But
But what are we hurting? Because at the end of the day, this is your life, right? And I don't want people to take it like, oh, I'm promoting suicide. But let me tell you, I don't condemn anyone who checks out at any time. Not one. Because one, I've sat in that and I know how that energy feels to be alone and feel like you don't want to be here and feel like anything is better than being on this planet. And I would never let anyone make me feel like, oh, this, that, and the third. No, because you're the one who has to deal with this life. No one else is going to help you at a certain time. Look, our people help us, but nobody is helping you internally. Nobody can help you with that struggle. Nobody can hold your hand and say, yeah, we could sit here and tell you it's going to be okay. But my point is, what if it never gets better for this person? What if
hmm
this person's demons inside overpower them day in and day out? So this person who's tormented every day should just sit here because we somehow need them to be here.
and I even tell my husband, don't tell me you love me to death, because I need you to love you more than anything. Like, the bottom line is, love yourself, because we not accountable. You can't be accountable for your feelings, they feelings, her feelings, his feelings.
Right.
Like, you
Right.
can't.
Right.
And I think sometimes that alone drive us crazy as people.
Right. And you know what the thing is we when I say we are the ones who are selfish because we don't sometimes take that minute to understand somebody else. We don't take that moment because all to us it's, oh, your life is not that bad. Get a grip. You're overreacting, blah blah blah. That's what we go to, right? Because it's like we know it could be worse. But again, to who's standing? This
Exactly.
person in this moment, and we don't know if it's truly going to get better. Now, I
We
know
don't.
people will be like, well, how can you say that? Because a child, again, I was a 14-year-old who felt empty no matter who was around me, no matter what love or friends or whatever was going on. And I felt very like I did not belong on this planet. And unless you have felt that feeling, unless you have felt that utter alone, no matter what is going on around you, you'll never get it. You'll never understand. Now, I'm not saying we should promote and then, yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, I feel like if they started where people started saying, yes, let's legalize helping people check out, I would be for it because I feel like that would be way better than coming home to your child cutting their wrist and having to see that fucking sight, or coming home to someone who's blown their fucking brains out because that's the only option they feel like they have,
Man.
or coming home to someone who has um hung themselves. You know what I mean? Because again, that is the only option they have. The reason why suicide is so dark is because someone gets to the point where they know no one will listen, no one will understand. And if they say they don't want to be here, what happens? Oh, we check them into a mental hospital because somehow they're crazy. Somehow they didn't lost their damn mind because they don't want to be in this society. Mm, wait a minute.
Like, hold up.
I'm
Because who's to
crazy.
say the mental institution is the best place to go? Like, we
Right.
all know that energy is transferable. So to set a person who is already struggling with this battle and put them around other struggling people, I don't look.
You're
If
crazy.
anything, you need to go put
Right.
them in a room full of positive people. Because
And let me tell you guys, not only was I a 14-year-old who went through it, my daughter went through it. And as a parent, it was very hurtful. I was moving at the time. I had sent my daughter to my brother's and I was moving all of our stuff and I was unpacking stuff and I came across a letter that she had wrote. And it was a letter, it was like a suicide letter. And it broke my heart because I was like, damn, I failed. And immediately as a parent, you're like, I failed. I failed my child. I failed in life. You're taking it out on yourself, but it's not about you. That's the biggest thing. That's where I feel like we get very selfish because everything is about us. We don't take a second to be like, damn, maybe this has nothing to do with me. Maybe this has everything to do with the person. And I think
Yeah.
if we take that selfishness away, us, and we start to see that it's not about me, it ain't got shit to do with me, this is about the person, maybe we'd be able to understand it better and not condemn somebody. A lot of people, even as a medium, I have come across a lot of people who get stuck because they feel like they've done something wrong and they're stuck in that energy. And it's in a in a lot of sorry y'all about the dog in the back. In a lot of and a lot of people get so angry with their family. So after the fact, how many people are holding on to this anger for your loved one instead of sending them love, instead of sending them, that heartfelt, I just miss you? How many people are angry for fucking years for someone? How could you take your life?
Hmm.
And one of the reasons why I realized this was, I think it's almost 14 years now that my dad has been gone. And when he was on his deathbed in the hospital, all his organs were shutting down. When he came to for the little time he did, he begged us to let him go. He was ready. He wanted to go. He was done. He knew it was his time. We, on the other hand, didn't get the memo. We, on the other hand, was just like, no, you're going to come home. You're going to get better. You're going to fight, because we didn't want to comprehend it. And we ended
Hmm.
up prolonging his death when we should have just allowed this man to die in peace. And I feel like that's something that will always stick with me in that aspect because again, we're like, oh no, you're too young, you got grandkids, you haven't lived your life. Who's to say that? Who's to say this person's
Yeah, that's
life
true.
isn't done? Who's to say? And I think as a society, where the fuck did it come from where suicide is wrong? Like, where did that concept come from?
And it sounds so messed up to say that. Like I'm pretty sure like saying that people like what the
Right.
fuck? But it's just it's just real, like it's just coming to the realization that we can't control each other, and we
Right.
really don't know the mind battles that people are going through,
Right.
and you just really don't understand like when somebody's done, like, and when they're done. And
Right.
I know it sounds so crazy to be like, just they just want it to be done, like, but you've been to a point where you want to be done with something, and other people might have thought that it wasn't a great idea, but
Right.
you still did it.
Right. I know a lot of people don't believe it because again, we're very selfish in our belief systems. We're very selfish in how we look at things, and we think about ourselves first. We think about how we hurt. We think about our pain, but we don't take that moment to think about that person, what this person might be going through, and their suffering. And that's where we have to understand our own selfishness as a person, as people, right? Because again, we're trying to force someone to get that this life is better. But again, we don't know that for this person. We don't know that their life is ever going to get better. We don't know that this person is ever going to genuinely feel like they belong. We don't know that. We're assuming that if they just try, we're assuming if they just, do this, that, and the third. And you could tell someone all day, oh, just be appreciative that you're here, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you, unless you're in those dark moments, you can't comprehend it. You can't understand it. Sometimes you don't even know why you feel what you feel.
That's so
Sometimes you don't
true.
even understand why you're so alone or why you're this, that, and the third. There's this energy that comes on you that you really don't understand. All you know is that I don't want to be here. And some people really feel like they just can't take it. So as a mom, that would be very hard for a child to come to you and be like, "Look, I'm done." Because the thing, you want to save your child. As a parent, we want to save our child from everything. We
Yeah,
want to
girl, I'll
save
be
them.
sleeping in my baby room and everything. We'll be sleeping together, eating together, showering together.
And because you're like, What, what's going on? Like, what happened?" but again, you can't understand them because it's just not yours to understand. I think that's where we have to come as people and understand what compassion is and what acceptance is. Most of the time we don't want to accept that someone possibly can be unhappy around us, right? Or we can't accept that possibly somebody could be that unhappy that they want to check out, because you immediately internalize it and say, well, what did I do wrong? Especially as a parent, you're like, what did I do wrong? How did I fail? You're taking it against you. Again, selfishly taking it against you instead of looking at what this person is going through. you know, that's what we say. How could they leave us? Again, we've made it about us. You guys see how the selfishness comes into it, right? We make it about us. Oh, how could they, how could they leave their children? And my thing is this: a lot of these people who have attempted suicide have felt this way. We keep pushing them to be here. They do go off and have kids, and then they take their life. Okay, because eventually, someone who can't, it's not there. Eventually, they will succeed. It's just like gonna happen, right?
Mhm.
And then they leave these babies behind. Is that the best thing? You know what I mean? Is that
Yeah.
the best thing? Are we really helping people? Are we really, really helping people? I don't know that we are. I don't know that we are.
And I'm telling you, for me, like I said, as a teenager, I battled with it. As an adult, I will be honest, my babies are one thing probably that keeps me going. Like, I was a teen mom. Like, if
Right,
I probably didn't have my kids, who's to know? Like, I probably would have made more attempts than. But
right,
my kids, like, they keep me going. But then, like she said, to know that your baby possibly is dealing with that too, it's not a settling feeling, because you like, wait, but I talked to her about my issues, but she has her own set of issues. No matter
right,
how much I'm trying to rewrite what my mama did wrong with me, like, she has her own set of issues.
right, right. And that's the thing, like that. Like I said, it hurt. It hurt for me to find that letter. And I had a conversation, with my daughter afterwards. And, her boys actually saved her because she was at a point in her life and she was a teen mom. And I know that's the reason why she had those boys, because she literally was ready to go. She didn't have no care for life. She didn't have no care to become anything. She didn't want to become anything. She got to a point where she just was like, she couldn't deal with society, like a child who's just like, I hate how the world is. The world
Yes.
became too much for her. And as a
No,
parent, you're
definitely.
like, you're just a kid. Just fucking be a kid.
And we can say that over and over till we blue in the face. I think that's one of our favorite lines as an adult. Like, but you a child. Like, what you stressing about? But they
Right.
do. They stress. I'm telling you.
Right.
Sometimes we going through stuff and they going through it with us, and you don't
Right.
even realize.
Right. And we don't realize it, because to us, like for me, it took me a while as a mom to understand my daughter, because I would just always look at her like, your life is so much better than mine. Like how,
Mhm.
but again, that is trying to get her to understand something she's never been through.
I tell my
Uh,
husband, I be like, they didn't live your life. They don't know your pain.
right,
Like, they,
right,
their mama ain't your mama. Like, they don't know.
right, right. And it's like, damn, you know what? I had, and so that's what made me realize when she was a teen, like I had to stop trying to tell her what she never had experienced. Here I
Mhm.
am, because I went through this as a child. And I'm like, man, my life was way worse. You should be this. I had to stop saying that to her. I had to stop telling her that she should be appreciative of her life, because she didn't get it. It wasn't that she wasn't appreciative. It's that inside she was missing something. And
Mhm.
as a parent, and I wasn't spiritual at the time, so I didn't get it. I didn't get what that, even though I had felt it at 14, I still didn't get her in that way. And it was just like, whatever I thought my emptiness and loneliness at 14 was, it made me start to realize that there was more to that, even that I didn't understand at the time. Because you think it's from this, that, and the third, but there's all of these other factors from the soul. So when we're thinking about suicide, my point is, I'm not saying for you guys to go and start assisting people with suicide, because again, it's against the law, and don't go to jail. Okay. But I do think I do think as a society, we need to talk about it more. It doesn't, like, suicide can't just be the closet when somebody when it happens, then we want to talk about it. We only want to talk about suicide is after the fact. Then it becomes a conversation. But you have people who are telling you constantly, I don't want to be here anymore. What is the conversation that you tell them? Oh, it'll get better. You're going to do this. You're going to become amazing. We are telling them what they want to hear. Do we know that for sure? Because I was someone who struggled with depression. I was someone who struggled with like wanting to give up. There's several times as an adult where I wanted to fucking check out, where I was just like, but at the time, my daughter, and I'm a teen mom too, I knew nobody was going to take care of her like me. Nobody
Man,
was going
tell
to
me
be
about it.
there like me. Nobody was going to love her like me. I knew that there was like, yeah, people would take care of her. My brother was there.
Right.
My mom was there. I knew somebody would take care of her, but they weren't going to take care of her like me. And so that was just my one thing of like, all right, no matter how hard it gets, your ass need to be here for at least
Exactly.
it. Your ass
I
needs to get it together.
All right, I be thinking about making a will. Like, look, I need this, and this to happen for my babies if I'm not here. And on
Right,
top of that, now as an adult on a different level, like, look, I know my kids need my life insurance if I pass.
right.
So, I need that to be valid.
One of the things is I even started to look at my daughter and I was just like, I knew I used to battle. And I mean, not my depression and shit was rough. Like it wasn't easy. But I did it silently. Like everyone would look at me and be like, she has her shit together. But in the inside, I was dying. I was dying every day. And one of the biggest things is when my daughter got to 10, I was just like, you need to learn how to cook. Because if I die, and I kept telling her, if I die, you need to know how to take care of yourself. You need to know how to get in here and do this because I really did not know if I would be there. You know what I mean? I didn't know because I was struggling with this constantly all the time. And this emptiness that some people feel doesn't go away just because you have kids. Let me tell you, you think it's going to go away because you get a man or you get a girl or you get kids, and it doesn't. That fucking emptiness is still there. Despite your life, despite the money you're making, despite the car you're driving, that emptiness is just still there staring at you every fucking
Yes,
day.
because in the past years we have had so many celebrities, like literally, like A-class celebrities, not B-list, like take their lives.
Right. And I always use Robin Williams as a point, right? This man who for a living made people laugh, for a fucking living made people laugh. And it's like you would have never guessed that this man was struggling his whole damn life and then finally was just like, I'm done. I'm done because the same happiness he was giving to everyone else, he never could find it for himself. And we will never understand that because it's like, how could you got this life and this beautiful house and blah, blah, blah. But the inside, the soul, whoo, you guys, that's a whole different level. Okay.
Mm,
My thing is I wish that we would just start to talk about it and see it differently so that there wouldn't be so many tragic suicides out there
yeah.
where people didn't have to leave this life in tragedy, where people didn't have to be stuck with the messiness of it because it's not legal and there's nothing that these people have. They're at their last straw, and unfortunately, like this is it. I had my goddaughter's uncle shot himself in the chest. You get to a point where that's your way out. That's what you choose because there's nothing else. Nobody else is going to understand. No one else is going to help you. And then this is and that was his second time. That was his second attempt. He had already did it once, and then there was a second attempt, and then on the second time, boom. You know, same. Um, where her stepdad hung himself again, second attempt. So, we, as rough as it is to sometimes be like, maybe, just maybe we need to think about this differently. Maybe, just maybe, we need to look at this and say, have these conversations and really try to understand the thoughts of someone who is suicidal and really get to the point because there's a lot we don't understand about it and we just go straight to the judgment part about it. We go straight to the judgment and you should be appreciative of your life. Not to say that we shouldn't be appreciative of our lives, but I think there's so much more that we don't understand. Yeah, like that, Shondell, your friend jumping out of a tall building. It's like that's the extent someone has because, again, they know there's no other options for them. I'm not saying like legalize children because, children sometimes I think go through a lot. And I think sometimes, most of the time, their life can get better. But what I do notice is there are a lot of people who don't, it doesn't get better. And then they get to the point where they do something crazy. Um, Sometimes I have to sit with myself because I feel like I'm failing as a mom because my daughter noticed that my family doesn't show her true love and also not having her down here. Yeah. And it's not that you're failing. Man, I've been there, Victoria. I've been there, boo. My daughter, not only was her dad not in her life, none of his family ever called on her. They never talked to her. They never did anything. So all she knew was me and my family, me and my dysfunctional family. Okay. Um, it's very hard not to get to a point of feeling like you're failing. But I want you guys to remember that everybody, even your children, have their own lessons in life. They have their own things that they need to experience in this life. And none of us, no matter how gifted we are, have the exact dates and times that people are supposed to leave this earth. Okay. We don't know that suicide is bad. That's what people tell us. Oh, it's bad and you're going to, go to hell or you're going to go to purgatory or wherever the hell. And I can tell you as a medium, I have felt the relief of some people who have passed on that were struggling in this life, but they are, even though they miss their loved ones, they are so free from the cage and the prison that they were when they were in this earth. So I think we can sit and say all day that no, that's wrong. But why? Why will we put a horse down and a dog down and an animal down because we don't want them to suffer? But you will look at your loved one and be like, nope, you got to stay here. You got to stay here and be
Mm.
miserable.
Yeah, because they will put an animal down in a second. Like they're suffering.
Right,
They can't take. Dang, that is true. And people love their pets. That's people's family. Because when our
right,
dog passed, like we was all in the front room, like, okay,
right.
this is sad.
They'll be like, you know what, your dog's gonna have a hard life with this disease and this and the third. And then you're like, you know what? It's better to put them out their misery. But we will fucking make a person
The person
be
sick.
homeless, fucking go through the ringer. You know what I mean? And it's just like, well, your life's gonna get better. Wait, what? How is that? How is that
Yeah.
okay? I think we gotta
And
stop
I ain't
being
gonna lie, y'all. I'm still gonna try to pep talk people out of it. Like, please don't.
and I
but
am
at
not
the end of the
saying not
day,
to do that, you know.
but I know. And then at the end of the day, it's like, dang. Like I said, just after having a conversation with AG about it, I feel like my ear is gonna be different to it. Because it's like, dang, like, of course I want to pep talk you out of it because it's like, like, I don't want you to die. But then
Right,
it's like, you really don't know how hard it is for people. Like,
right.
and like we literally just lying to them, telling them like it's gonna get better. Like, and we really don't know.
We don't.
We don't know.
I can tell you what my dad was a very tormented soul. So not only did he carry on a lot of his past life and this life and burdens, but he was beaten and stuff when he was younger, and those demons never went away. And so this is a man who tried his best in life to get it together and be happy, but never could find that happiness. Never truly could find that happiness in his life. And again, we look at someone and we're just like, no, but you could do this and you could be great and you can have this beautiful life. But we forget that there's a soul attached to everyone. There's a spirit attached to all of us. And inside there is where the truth lies. Okay. And we have to have these conversations. When you have a conversation with someone, you can have this beautiful conversation that may shift this person's whole life. So I'm not telling no one not to have a conversation or not to try to talk somebody out of it. But let me tell you, if someone's going to kill themselves, they will. Okay. There's nothing that you will say that's going to change that. I just want you to know, not to say that you shouldn't try,
Right.
but So don't feel like you have failed when it happens or if it happens, because again, when someone is done, they're done. There's no, there is no kind of coming back from that unless they get that second chance from their maker, which we have nothing to do with that, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like if we have these conversations, you can feel energetically when someone is done. You can feel energetically when someone has checked out, no matter what's going on. I think we become oblivious and we become blind. We put those rose colored glasses because we don't want to see the darkness within them. We don't want to see that this person doesn't want to be here because, again, we are internalizing and personalizing it to us. Somehow, if this person isn't happy, it's because of me. Somehow, because this person doesn't want to be here no more, I've done something wrong. And again, people's hurt and pain and sorrow and burdens, a lot of it has nothing to do with you, you know? And even as like the children and stuff, it's like some of them internalize it like it's because of them or what did they do wrong? It has nothing to do with them. And I think if we had these heart to heart conversations, people would be able to talk about it openly and discuss what they're feeling, in a
Yeah,
way that you may understand what they're going through. But because it's
that's
so
true.
off topic and taboo, like people are just secretly dying inside.
And you know what? I always tell one of my friends, like, sometimes we think people coming to us for advice and we think people want us to like comfort them and tell them it's going to be okay. But really, sometimes what I kind of like, sometimes people just want to listen in ear.
Right.
Sometimes you ain't really got to say nothing. You can
Right.
just let that person vent, say what they got to say. We don't always got to have no words for nobody. Sometimes
Right.
people just want you to listen. And sometimes people don't even need you to get them all them the fake comforting words I want to get them to
Right.
try to make them stay here. Like sometimes you just listen.
Right. Exactly. You know what? That's one of the biggest things I even realized when I was a department manager, that some people just wanted to be heard. Like, the cashier or the person in the department would be telling this client, or not client, but customer this, and then here I come saying the same shit, but they would just want to be heard. Just sit there and listen. Some people just need that to for you to listen, not to understand them, not to try to fucking talk them out of whatever they're going through, not to give your point of view, because again, your point of view is jaded in your experiences and your experiences only. You're not sitting in their experience. You're not sitting in their shoes. You haven't been what they've gone through. You haven't walked their life. You don't fucking get it. Even if you've been through something similar, you don't get it. You know, I think that we can always try to tell someone. I think instead of telling someone the kind of fairy tale, it'll get better. Try to tell someone to try to figure out why they feel the way that they feel, because I feel like it goes deeper than this life. I feel like our holes and our sadness and our aloneness stem through lifetimes. And I feel like our sorrows come up at certain times that we can't explain. And I think we have to have those conversations, and then maybe we can get deeper into why somebody is feeling the way that they feel, because most of the time we don't even hear those conversations, because again, who's going to really listen without sending you to the crazy house, right? Or telling you that you don't have a right to feel the way that you feel. That's, I think, one of the biggest problems of someone who feels like they want to take their life, is people telling them that they don't have a right to feel that way, that your life somehow is good and you have no reasons to feel the way that you do. And I think that's where we are selfish, because
Mm.
we're assuming that materialistic shit makes this person happy, or we're assuming that other somehow just being around our family should make us feel better. we're assuming this, right?
You know, because I'm not gonna lie, my family is very like my extended family, not like my at home family and my mom and my sisters, but like my extended family, like my aunties being around my like it's draining for me. I'm not even myself, so no, I'm not happy.
I mean, let's be real. The
It's not
family will
no
be
offense to them.
the family will be like, how could they? Blah blah blah. And it's like, do you even hear yourself half the time? Do you
Man.
What's like, do you really understand or no? This is where I say we take it personally because, of course, if someone around us takes their life, we somehow had a hand in it. We somehow did this. We somehow didn't live up to this. And again, everybody's journey is their own. Yes, in life, people do leave an impression on us and people do inspire us as well as deter us in life. But at the end of the day, somebody's journey is their own.
Mhm.
And I do hope one day that we do have a system where if someone is done and tired, that they're that it's not against the law and they don't have to go inside and do some tragic shit to end their life. That's what I do hope. I do hope at one time that as a society we can change that and grow and say, instead of let's give this person somewhere comfortable and safe to check out because it is their life. We're like, no, you can't check out. That's against the rules. But then, people get murdered all day, every day. And apparently that's not against the rules.
Yeah.
It's like, wait,
And
what?
that you didn't took away their right of choice. Like, so
If it's our life and we're these co-creators, then why wouldn't we be given the opportunity to? And a lot of people will get into it because assisted suicide and then the person doing it, isn't that murder? Let me tell you, if you go into all the specifics like that, like if we could bring it up, Dr. Kevorkian, I know all y'all remember the story. I know all y'all remember the news story. This man went to jail because he helped and assisted someone in suicide. And this was a man that had a disease that he was tired of living with. This man, if you watch the episode, or you guys just Google it and watch it, watch the story, because I'm pretty sure you guys have heard, but maybe not seen the whole story. And the patient that he was working with was tired. He was on video. He kept talking about it. He did not want to live. His family, like the patient's family, they had all had these conversations. The whole family understood. The whole family knew. This was a man who was disabled. He couldn't do things for himself. And I have told my family, which my daughter doesn't like when I say it. She's getting more used to it now. And I would tell her, if I ever get to a point where I can't wipe my own ass and I can't take care of myself, I don't want to be here anymore. Do
that's
not
not
force
living.
me to be here. Exactly. If I get to the point where I lose all body functions and I can't live, why are we keeping me here? Just to sit in a wheelchair and stare at the fucking wall? I'll be
Yeah.
damned. Hell no. you know?
I know.
And
I
I've
don't,
told
I
my
don't want.
daughter that. Don't do it. Don't do me like that. Don't make me stay here. Same thing if I lose my damn mind. If I lose my mind, let me go. Because I don't want to be in this life and I can't even remember my own family and I can't remember who I am and I'm just existing. Don't want to be here if I'm just existing. And I feel like that's my right. That's my right and my choice if that's what I don't want to live. Okay? And I think we have to respect people in that way. And we don't. We take that away because we think we know what's best for them. But I can tell you, working in the medical field with geriatrics, I have seen a lot of families struggle forcing their person to be here, and they're miserable and they're not here, and they're just, the people are tired and frustrated themselves of trying to take care of their family member. But again, we don't look at any of this. We just, yep, keep trucking along. Everyone be fucking miserable in this situation.
And half the time, they're not even there to be miserable with this person. You know what I mean?
Right,
And like I said, I know the view sounds crazy, but at the end of the day, I think we already live in a world where we don't respect each other's decisions.
right,
Like
right,
when it comes to so many things in life, we
right.
just don't like to respect each other's decision. We just always want to choose for each other.
Right, right. Raquel, one of the things, and I know you just came into it on the beginning where we talked about like someone who does want to kill themselves. It's different. It's not just about your goals and aspirations. It's not just about what you're trying to do in life. There's this other part of you that just can't be fulfilled. You can't get it. You can't get to that happy place. And someone looking in, and I don't know if you've ever struggled with depression or wanted to commit suicide. I have. There, Khadijah's also been there. That emptiness inside is a different, it's a whole different feeling. No matter what, kids don't help, and love doesn't help, and money doesn't help. It's nothing. It's inside of you. It's something attached to your soul that you got to work. And if you never get to the point to work, It never goes away. No matter what you do, no matter what you accomplish, you can get 15, 20 degrees and you still won't be happy in this life. And that's what we're talking about. So, a lot of times, like I said, I'm not saying don't try to talk someone through it. I'm not saying if someone decides to talk about it, man, but I do feel like we need to stop downing it so that someone can be comfortable to have a conversation. And I think most of the time people just do it secretly because they know nobody will fucking listen. No one will understand. Somebody's going to tell them that they should be this, that they should be that, that they should be grateful, that they should be this. And then so people shut down. And I think if we change this to where we are telling people, no, let's openly have a constructive conversation without me downing you. Because again, it goes into the belief system of the person. I'm going to down you for what you think. I'm going to tell you your life is just oh so fucking better. I'm going to tell you what you need to do to feel better. And then at that point, you're not listening to the person. The biggest thing is you guys listen. You need to just take a moment and listen, because a lot of times there's nothing you can truly say or do for this person. And when someone's truly ready to check out, they are. But that's the point that gets messy. That's the point that unfortunately people choose the most drastic ways to take their life, because there is no help. The help is go to the mental institution, right? Go to the doctors, go get some medication to make you feel better. So I'm going to live the rest of my life on medication and happy pills, but
and
in
possibly
actuality,
and possibly have a heart condition, liver failure, dislocation of the knee, and everything else because it's a billion side effects.
right. And look, I've taken happy pills before. I've gone to the psychiatrist. I've taken happy pills, and yeah, they made me temporarily happy. Second I got off those pills, guess what happened? Slumped into a horrible depression, unbelievable depression. And I think, again, as we're selfish, right? Because we just want our person to be okay. Go get them happy pills so that you can be okay for everyone else. Again, we're missing the point. The point is the person struggling. The point is what the person is going through. And the point is to get people a way to deal with some of their issues without them feeling like shit for it. Someone will make someone feel like shit for not wanting to be here. And again, it's your path, it's your journey. You don't gotta like this earth. You don't gotta like this fucking world, you guys. You don't. Why are we looking at it so horrible? Oh my God, if someone kills us, says, oh my God, it's so fucking horrible. I can think of a million other reasons that are horrible in this life versus telling someone or talking down to someone because they don't want to be here anymore, you know?
Yeah, that's real.
Right, Raquel. And I talk about that because I've had two people close to me who have attempted suicide multiple times, but then they finally got their wish, And I do feel like for I think a lot of people attempt suicide and we don't know about it. We only know about the when it happens, because not everybody leaves a journal in a fucking letter, okay? But we only know that the time it happens when they succeeded. I think people who do get to that point, they've attempted it probably multiple times, and I do think that's the bond with their creator to say, all right, do you really want to go? you know is it really time for you to go? And then they kind of go through it. My heart goes out to anyone who has had to go to that extent of shooting themselves, hanging themselves, jumping in front of a damn train, jumping out of a fucking building. That is a horrible way to fucking die. Okay. And that's where my humility goes to. My humility goes to the people who have to go to that extent to leave this world. Why? Why are we forcing them to go to that extent? Is my point at the end of the day. So, again, I'm not saying not to talk nobody off the ledge. I'm not saying not to try to talk to one to get them to see the beauty in life, because there's a lot of beauty in life. Life is not all shitty and horrible. I'm not saying not to help this person find a way to deal with some of the sadness and abandonment and alone, that gaping hole that they have inside. But I will tell you, Don't use the tactics of your life is going to get better, kids will make it better, because none of that shit actually truly makes it better. You
Yeah.
just then have to deal with the shit on top of raising kids, on top of your relationship.
We
Try,
just repeat what we've been taught like scriptures. It's just like we just repeating what we hear being said at that point, when I actually think about it, because, that's what you would typically say. But I think from now on, I'm gonna just listen, you know,
you
be a
you
listening ear.
you do have to listen. You know, a lot, like I said, we want to tell somebody it's going to be this. We want to tell them that life is going to get better. We want to tell them that, life is just going to also be a joy. But what if my point is, what if it isn't for that person? What if they never find that happiness? What if they never find that joy? And now, there's kids involved. Now there's a whole family involved. And again, we go back to our own selfishness where um we don't we're it's all about us. It's not about them. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to make it about them. I want you guys to see it and remember that it's their story, not
You would
yours.
typically say.
Oh, shit. My bad. It's their life, not yours. What they're going through. Nope, I don't remember that, Sasha. I don't remember that. And that's what I'm saying. It's so many people who deal with that at a young age. And someone will, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people came at you and told you, like, why would you ever do something like that? Why would you think about that? Why would you try? But I'm telling you, unless you've been in that place, you don't know how that feels. And we could sit here and say all day about the beauties of life, but I've been in that seat also, and it's not as easy. It's not as easy. Not that the sun ain't shining and it's not beautiful outside, but when you got that emptiness inside, nothing around you seems like it's going to work. And then some people, their path, we're not from here, so you don't feel like you belong here. There's a whole nother spiritual side to some of it where we just get into this kind of like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be in this world. And sometimes we take on a lot of other people's problems. So again, I do hope something changes, because for me, I'm like, when I'm ready to go, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't
Hey,
give
ain't
a
nothing
shit what
nobody gonna be able
nobody
to tell.
say. And I already told my, because I think it's, I don't know, I don't know if it's still legal in Oregon. I think it is. Assisted suicide is legal, or in Oregon. I think I can't remember, but I think another country just I think it's like Sweden or Switzerland or somewhere um just made it legal or something. I just, I want to understand why and where did they decide to make it illegal. That's what I want to understand, is why did we make it that, and why do we make people feel shitty for not wanting to be here? And why do we feel like, I mean, if anyone's on here and you feel like it is a selfish act, I'd love to know, because why is it selfish for someone to want to check out? It's just like, I mean, for me, and I know this comparison, people are going to be like, it's not the same, it's a life. Yes, it's a life. It's their life. But it's just like, if I didn't want to work at a certain job, right?
I'll leave that boy.
Bye. I ain't happy
Bye.
here. But oh my God, God forbid someone says I'm not happy with this life and I want to check out. I think we got to do better on that side. Have these conversations, listen and see what you seen that too in the other country. Okay,
And
right,
even when people are sick of a job, people will be like, well, just keep pushing, or ask for a raise, or,
right,
well, you're just tired right now. Like, no,
right,
like, I'm done.
right. And if you've ever noticed someone who's just exhausted at work, like their heart's not in it no more, they're exhausted, they're tired, they're done, they're defeated. Some of that is the same how people are living in their lives. They're exhausted, and you'll think like, damn, how is a 12-year-old exhausted with life, right? How is this 14-year-old or 15-year-old exhausted with life, right? Again, this person has a soul. This person has been through some shit in their soul.
I am on
You-
that.
And most people would be like, "How is this little kid exhausted? How are you tired?"
Because he
Again,
tired.
again, they are tired. You don't know how their lens, how they're looking at life. You
Mhm.
don't know. Like, you think, oh my God, you have all these friends and you're so loved. And the child is like, I don't give a shit about them friends. I don't give a shit about that popularity.
Yeah. Cause I,
You
yeah.
know, I
Cause
know it gets, I know it gets rough, you guys. And again, listen to your people, listen to them. But it is Switzerland. Okay. And it's a death pod. Yeah, I think we again, I was a mom who found a suicide note, you guys, and I actually was a teen who attempted suicide silently. I never even told anybody. Um, so just talk to people, keep doing what you're doing, keep talking to people, but listen. Stop trying to tell somebody what they should feel like. Listen, because if you listen to someone's story, you will understand how close they are to really attempting that or really going for taking their life. Okay, you will understand. You probably won't understand, but you'll feel it.
yeah. Cause some things are meant for you to understand. That's why I'm like, sometimes just be a listening ear. Like, cause we not gonna understand everything. Like,
Right, right.
we not. And you would drive yourself crazy trying to understand everything.
Yeah, I this my biggest goal is hopefully and I'll probably have a couple more, shows where we talk about it because I feel like we have to be open with it. We have to be able to discuss it. We have to be able to allow people to be okay to talk about what they're feeling. And right now people don't get that. People don't get that kind of I don't want to say encouragement, but they don't get that kind of space to say, let me openly say I don't want to be here because there is the fear of judgment. There's the fear of what will people think. There is the fear of people not being able to handle those conversations. And that's where we fuck up at. That's where we mess up at as people is that we're not able to have these conversations without internalizing it and taking it personal. Because then again, now we've taken it personally. Because I was that parent that was like, what am I doing wrong as a parent? Why, how am I failing my child? How can my child, which I thought I was doing much better than my parents, how could my child want to take her life? You internalize it and you make it your problem. You make it something you've done. And again, sometimes somebody's inner suffering has nothing to do with you. So that's where your selfishness has to be taken out of it. And that's where you have to try to get to understand where someone's coming from. And again, I could never really understand my daughters, even though I was sitting in her shoes at 14. I still couldn't understand where she was coming from because I felt her life was better than mine. And I
Yeah.
felt that she should be more appreciative of what she had because she had way more than me. But again, the suffering of the soul in materialistic shit is so different. We can't compare it. You can't tell someone that they should be okay because you think their life is good. You can't tell someone that they should be happy with their life and it's going to get better because you feel it will. Or maybe your life got better. The only thing you can do is listen to this person and give this person a space to get it out, maybe. And maybe they can work through it with conversation and some type of compassion and understanding. Um, Again, I don't think you'll ever understand what they're saying, but at least if you come at them with a way of accepting what they're saying and not putting them down for what they're feeling, maybe people would be able to talk about it. Sending someone to a shrink and a psychiatrist, great. I'm not telling nobody not to seek professional help. And I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying don't seek professional help. I think you should always do that. But at the end of the day, I think we should respect people. That's my personal opinion. I feel like we should respect people and stop trying to make someone love a life that they just can't. And I think we should respect someone's wishes at the end of the day. Like if they've tried and they've tried and they've tried, and then they get to the point where they're just like, I can't, why are we forcing this person to be here? That's a question I'll leave with you guys. Is why
Yeah.
are we trying to force this person to stay here when they've said over and over again, that they don't want to be here?
And learn to love people while they're here because like we said, it's other ways that people go pass on and pass over. So love people while they here. Give them their flowers now. Love on them now. Don't wait until they gone to be so sad and miserable, because we don't know the time, date, nor place. So
Right,
love on your loved ones. Like people say, give them their flowers now. Like
right, right, right. We
I
don't.
had so
There.
much peace when my aunt just passed, because like I was sad, of course, like, oh, I won't be able to see her again. But I loved on her while she was here. Like, so it wasn't no funeral or nothing that was gonna make me feel better or anything, because I loved on her while she was here.
Right, 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 right. You know what? A lot of people always like say that and bring that up. And like, we went through a time where my mom, she had passed like a couple times and they brought her back, right? She was going through some shit with her health. And at the end of the day, I had said my piece. So if she didn't come back, I knew we were good. I had did what I needed to do. Like, I had always made family a priority. So there was no regrets. There was no regrets if she goes. And I could look at my people and my family and I can say there's no regrets. If someone wants to go, I would miss them. I would be sad for them. I would mourn them because I feel like you should. They're your family, they're your loved ones. But if anyone was to pass, I would not feel, oh, I didn't do enough. Oh, I didn't call enough. Oh, I wasn't there enough. No, I have been that person. So I feel like if we live in that aspect of we understand that none of us are guaranteed tomorrow, we will take that 5 minutes to send a text. We will take that minute to say, hello, how are you? We will check on people more. Um, we get it in our brains that people are supposed to live forever, right? Because again, we just don't think that death is a part of life. And the second you're born, death is attached to your name. You guys understand that. And I talk about this a lot when when we're going through the acceptance of death. We don't want to accept the fact that someone can die. We don't want to accept the fact that someone's life is now done. But again, we don't have control over that and it's not for us to dictate. So the people in your life, make the best of every day with them. Make sure that they know that you love them. Make sure that they don't you don't have to question that part if they do check out. Because again, someone's life is their life. And even if they do decide to check out, which you may not agree with, okay, make sure that there's no regrets there. And don't hate the person because they did check out. That's my other part that I want you guys to understand. I do, this mediumship gets rough with people who have committed suicide and where the family is so angry still at this person. And when someone dies, I want you to understand the energy that you keep this person alive in when you're angry, when you're upset with them is rough. It's really rough because just because you can't understand it, try to change that and let that shit go so that that person can find peace in the afterlife because your anger and your upset with them does not help their transition. I just want to put that out there. It does nothing to help them. It keeps them in a very dark place. And I'm not going to say everyone because some people do have remorse from taking their lives, but majority of the people that I've tapped into that have committed suicide are free now than what they were in this life. Okay. They're free and they're in this whole other energy and we'll never understand that again. But again, it's your life and it's everyone's life. So just try to have these conversations openly where we're not judging, right?